Good evening, African Confessions. I am back with another episode. There is a message that was forwarded to me by one of our admins. We received this message via our email address. The message reads like this. Hello, how are you? Can Brother Nashe please post for me? It is me, the Slay Queen. I was back in my room and I felt that I hated myself so much. All that I wanted was to go back home and be amongst my own people. I had been a prostitute before, but I had never been treated in such a way. I would wake up from a bad dream screaming, and my friends tried to text me and knock on the door. They kept on wondering why I was screaming in my room. Can you believe it that even Ashraf, after all the things that he had done to me, he had the nerves to put some drugs in another drink that I had found in my room. When I walked into my room, I just saw that drink and I drank it down because I was really feeling disgusted with myself. After I drank whatever the thing that Ashraf had placed in my room, that is when I felt so dizzy. After that, I kept on having a lot of nightmares. That is why I was screaming. I was hallucinating. I didn't want to talk to anyone. Was I even a human being? How would I even look at them in their eyes? I refused to eat anything because I have been made to eat human poo, and they called it a cake, all to make some people feel superior. They also never treat their dogs like the way that they had treated me. I don't know what kind of a drug Ashraf had placed in whatever that juice that he had left in my room for me, and he had told me that I should drink that juice. I was really scared of what he was going to do to me if I didn't take whatever juice that he had left in my room. So after I had drank it, that is when I started to have a lot of hallucinations. I saw hands that were coming out of the walls. Those hands, they wanted to grab me. That is the reason why I kept on screaming, because whenever those hands would come out of the walls, when they would be trying to grab me into the walls, when I would scream, those hands will disappear. They made me to have sexual intercourse with a dog. I cried all day long and I wanted to jump and finish my life right there. Who was going to stop me? Because I had locked myself in my hotel room and I was booked in floor number 50. If I jumped, I was going to perish before I even got to the ground. Those who had been to the Emirates knows that they have the tallest building in the world. When I think about that country, I really feel like I will never travel back to that country. I really hate myself for ever going there. And I hate thinking about anything that will remind me of that torture. Those who had been tortured by electricity are better, unlike to be made to eat your own vomit that has been mixed with poo. I was really smelling, and those men kept on mocking me. They said that I am a pig, and they told me that in their culture they are not allowed to eat a pig. And they kept on laughing at me, and they said that we will not have intercourse with you because you are unclean and you are a pig. That is why we can't have intercourse with you. But if you were like a clean animal, we would think about it. But as for you, you are like an unclean animal. When they kept on mocking me like this, I was crying. We stayed like this, and one thing that made me not to commit suicide was my child. Because when I was hallucinating, sometimes I would see his face smiling in the wall. When I would be screaming, then those hands would disappear. He called me one day when I was still in Dubai, and it was a video call. I jumped and I remember who I was. He spoke to me and he told me that I love you, mommy, with a smile. I can see that you are in a beautiful place. And when my son told me that I was in a beautiful place, I wanted to cry, because even though the place that I was in, it was a beautiful place material-wise, but my soul had been crushed. I was in a dark place. He asked me to bring him a bicycle and an Adidas tracksuit. That is when I told myself that I had to be strong for my son. Should I have killed myself, my family could not even afford to repatriate my body. What will my son do? I had to be there for him. I had to be strong. I came back to my senses, and for the first time in a week, I got out of my room so that I can meet my friends. It was like a funeral. We cried and we hugged each other. I was the first one to cry, and they joined too. I thought that they were missing me. No, not knowing that all of us, we had been taken to different people who gave us different treatment. Asa left and went to the balcony. She had to go and calm her nerves by smoking. Zizi then sat me down and told me how she was tricked by Ashraf few days later. When I had came back, she was taken to a luxurious plane, business class. She thought this was a chance to get a passport and sneak out of that country. She was then used to entertain some people that looked like billionaires who were also on that plane, and she was made to lick their feet whilst they laughed out loud. They also slept with her, and this time she was made to lick the poo hole of the big fat man, and after that they penetrated her, all the holes on her body. They made her to lie on the floor and they peed on her. This was in mid-flight. She was told to clean herself up as they landed in Paris, and she was given an envelope of money. They put her on a leash like a dog and waited for 2 hours, then flew back to Dubai. Zizi was crying because she had been to Paris, but she had never stepped her foot out of the plane. When she was in Paris, she was kept in that private plane. We cried that day and we prayed to God for the first time. As we were praying, I didn't have any hope. Even Asa, she kept on going back to the balcony. She was like this. Whenever she was angry, she would walk around the house just looking for trouble, and she kept on smoking. I was the one who kept on running to check if she was still there at the balcony, and when she was angry, she didn't want anyone to touch her. We kept on praying, but this was just like hopeless. There was no way we were going to leave this place still breathing. Those men used us. Brother Nashi, as a woman, you can reach that breaking point. You can actually feel that your body is so exhausted. As those men will be doing whatever they want with your body, you will just follow them along and you obey all of their commands. And when Ashraf saw that mentally and physically we were exhausted, I saw him smiling. Maybe he had finally broken us down, because whatever he would ask us to do, we ended up doing whatever he wanted. Ashraf had turned into something else. Looked like this was his business. He would come to South Africa or maybe any African country, lure the girls and make them think that this was going to be roses, then buy them tickets. Yes, I was in poverty, no money, but the situation that I had found myself in, Brother Nashi, it was quite a painful situation. There was this other night, I sat down and I was crying. Asa, as usual, she was by the balcony smoking a cigarette, and Zizi, she was just sleeping on the couch. We were all exhausted. When I looked at Asa as she was smoking, that is when I said to myself, we have totally traded our souls to the devil. Because those men from America who had just finished using us, Brother Nashi, those men were totally violent with us. When those men booked us, and when I saw that they were black men, I thought that they were going to respect us. But those men, Brother Nashi, they did things to us that were so unimaginable. I think that those men were just Satanists because of the way that they mistreated us. Before they slept with us, they drank a lot of medication. We didn't have any rest with those men. I ended up vomiting. This is what happens to a woman's body. If you have intercourse for a very long time, And if you are having rough intercourse, your body, Brother Nashi, will just give in. That is what happened to me. I vomited on one of those men, and he slapped me and he punched me, and he told me that I was nothing but a prostitute and I had disrespected him. Brother Nashi, I cried as I looked at Asa as he was busy smoking a cigarette, just standing at the balcony. The reason why I kept on looking at Asa, because each and every situation that we kept on facing, she was just internalizing all of those situations. She didn't cry. She didn't do anything. All that she did was just take one of her cigarettes, then smoke. She didn't want to be told that she was in this mess. All that she wanted was to smoke a cigarette. Yo, dear listeners, right there was a message that was forwarded to me from one of our listeners, and I want to thank you, dear sister. Because of your confession, a lot of women, they have been coming to my inbox on Facebook, and some of these confessions, they are quite painful. Dear listeners, let us talk about this issue in the comment section. I'll be back with another episode.